welcome. My name's Lorna and this is The Den, Mental Wellbeing and Emotional Support. Welcome along. Really lovely to have you here. Whether you're brand new and you've never seen me before or whether you've seen me a few times, either way, really, really lovely to have you here. Thank you so much for watching. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the neurodivergent experience. That sounds a bit much, doesn't it? But actually what I want to talk about is sort of the narrative around my neurodivergence is my superpower. Being neurodivergent is awesome, and it's just that the world doesn't accept it. And what do we do about that? We just need to get the world to accept it, because that's where the problem is. And in many ways I agree. In many ways I think there are some ways in which my neurodivergence is my superpower. For me, that would probably be the ability to procrastinate, which sounds like that's not good, but I know that I can push stuff down the road. I know that I can just concentrate on whatever's the most important thing right now, and there'll be time for everything else, because I can put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off until it really needs to be done. And when it really needs to be done, I will hyper-focus the hell out of that. I will hyper-focus, I will think about nothing else, and I will get it done. And to me, for a lot of people, that sounds like, oh, that's really stressful, and why would you do that to yourself? Why put off to tomorrow what you can do today? And I feel a little bit like, why do today what I can put off till tomorrow? Which I know is bizarre, but for me that feels like, well, I'm really optimizing my time. If I do it now, then I'll take ages over it, and I'll, this time that I could be spending now doing a thing that I want to be doing, I would just use all of that to do the thing, because I'd still work to the deadline, almost certainly. So that's my version of a superpower, my ability to, well, it's actually an inability to do it until it needs to be done. That's actually what it is. But it feels like my hyper-focus is the superpower, because I know I can put it off until it needs to be done, and then the hyper-focus will kick in and I will get it done, even if it means I need to sit up all night or whatever it is. So that part is a superpower. I'm not disagreeing with that concept. There is lots about various neurodivergences that are awesome. But I don't know. There are days when it's shit. And it's not about society not accepting it as much as it is about my brain being really frustrating. And a lot of that is just to do with it being really annoying. So several weeks ago now, I lost my keys, and I have all my keys on one set of keys, and they were gone. I hadn't put them on the hook when I came in, and because something happened. I was coming into the house, something distracted my brain. I remember the thing that distracted me on the way into the garden. I was like, oh, that's really urgent, I need to do it right now. So I focused on that. But in focusing on that, I wasn't focusing on the normal stuff that I have to do when I get into the house. And that's not like a automatic routine. That's a set of instructions that I have to follow when I come in, like hang your keys on the hook and hang your coat on the hook and put your bag. Like, it's a set of steps I have to follow to make sure I know where things are. But because this other thing distracted me and my brain went, oh, that's really important, do it now, I focused on that, didn't focus on any of the other things, could not remember where my keys went. I lost them for over a week, I think. Had to buy a new set. A few days after spending a load of money on buying new keys, they turned up, my husband found them. But that is just really annoying. So part of it is it being frustrating, but part of it is this concept of the ADHD tax, where, well, I spent a whole load of money, and keys are expensive now, way more expensive than I was expecting them to be. And I had to spend money on that because you need keys. my husband and I had been sharing, and it wasn't going to work forever to share the set of keys with us going in lots of different places. So we had to spend the money, and then the keys turned up. So that's just money. Well, that in the moment I needed to spend because I'd lost them. But if I didn't have ADHD and wasn't losing my keys, then I would never have had to spend that money on extra keys. You know, and there was another incident where I thought I'd broken some of my son's technology, and that was through being careless and not noticing the surroundings. I was putting on the air fryer thing, and I thought, in my head, well, you've cleared that space, that's fine, because it like powers out crazy hot air out of it. So you have to clear the space around it. And I, in my brain, thought, well, you've cleared all of that space around it, not really noticing that his technology was charging there on the side, and it died. It just completely stopped working for days. And I thought, well, that's it, I've killed my son's technology. And how do I tell him that? How do I tell him that just because I wasn't, I don't know, I want to say paying enough attention, but like I tried, I thought I had, and I just didn't see it. And I was like, well, how am I going to tell him now that I've broken it and I can't get another one? That's money we haven't got to spend on another one. And that felt awful because other people, I didn't notice it was happening. My husband noticed it was happening. So he saw it. Another person would have seen it. It's just me that didn't see it. And that doesn't feel like a superpower anymore. That feels shit. That was like, why? Like, it's not fair is how it felt, actually. Feels like it's not fair. Then my brain acts that way. So yeah, that's really, I sort of just want to highlight it today because I think we've got this narrative of pushing, you know, the superpower concept, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are many ways in which my neurodivergence is a superpower. There are. But it is, you know, and it is who I am, and I own it, and I wouldn't be who I am now without it. It is just who I am and how my brain works, and that's fine, I suppose. But I guess I just want to highlight it because for anybody going through the world living that, including our children, who we push into an environment every day where they're forced to see what everybody else can do, what everybody else is seeing, everybody else can remember things, everybody else is functioning in a particular way, and for some reason they are not. And I understand that we push this idea of how positive it is and how we just need the world to accept it, and I agree with that. That is true, but I think it's important to recognise alongside that the stress and the frustration and the upset and the hurt that can go along with it. Because if we just pile on the positive, that can become toxic positivity. That can become, don't talk about how rubbish it is because we just want to hear the positive. We just want to make you see it as something positive. And I think the two things need to run next to each other. I do think it's important that I see how my neurodivergence benefits me. I do think it's important that the world understands difference and doesn't just expect everybody to fit in the same box, because we don't. I sort of think we should be moving into a society where we recognise that everybody is different from everybody else, which is like this thing that we learn when we're little. Like, everybody's different, but yeah, our society doesn't really operate that way. As we get bigger, we stop thinking that that's a thing somewhere along the lines. Everybody's different from everybody else, and that is definitely the world that we should be living in. But I think it's hard to process that and to acknowledge, and it's hard to see the positives if you're trying to squash the negatives at the same time. If you're trying to use the positives to force the negatives away, that's not healthy. We need to acknowledge the negatives. We need to see that the negatives are there, and we need to learn how we incorporate that? We need to process it. We need to go, yeah, that is shit, actually. And how do I deal with it? How do I come to accept that? How do I stop seeing that? You know, when I cause the ADHD tax for my family and we have to spend money on things that we shouldn't have had to spend money on. Or when I've broken something, like, you know, I can't just go, yeah, but it's a superpower in those moments. I have to learn how to not beat myself up for that, and so do you, and so do any neurodivergent people in your life, or any neurodivergent people that we work with. It's not, you can't just, oh, it's a superpower, those moments away. We need to learn how to not beat ourselves up for that, how to integrate that into part of our lives and our personality, and to somehow be okay with it. But if we can't in those moments be okay with it, and I'm not, I mean, you can probably tell by how I was talking about those moments that they were not okay moments for me. It's rubbish. But that's okay. We need to learn to live with those rubbish moments, and we need to let them pass. We need to live in that emotion for a minute, and not try and just pretend everything's okay, not just try and brush it under the carpet and go, yeah, but, you know, well, that's my neurodivergence, and because that's not how we really feel about it. We feel like, why? It's not fair. It's not fair in that moment. That my brain works that way. So yeah, that's all I've got to say today, really, is I just wanted to highlight that and just say, yes, there are many, many positives to being neurodivergent. Yes, the world needs to learn to accept difference and to roll with it, and to not expect neurodivergent people to just operate the same way neurotypical people do. And equally, I think we need to accept everybody who operates a little bit differently. But at the same time, please, can you be aware of when the people around you, or if it's you, we just need to be aware of the rubbish times too, and live with them, process them, feel it, experience it, and not try to positive it away, not stick a plaster on it. Whew, well, that's me today. It was a little bit of a personal one, a touch deep for me, maybe hitting a nerve, but that is what it is. I'm going to leave you to think about it. Can you drop me a comment if you relate to the experience, if you have another view, if you have like an experience to share, a thought to share, if this is connected with you in any way? I really, really would love to hear from you. I'd just love to know that you're there, ideally. All interactions on social media of any description, on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or any of it, is really, really helpful. So please share is really important. I need to get myself out there to people who have never seen me before. So like, comment, share, that's really appreciated. Thanks so much. And I feel like I was going to say something else and I can't remember what it was. There you go. Oh, yeah, and if you feel like you could do with some support, some emotional support work from a person who understands neurodivergence, give me a shout. Okay, see you soon, folks. Bye-bye.